Hi, I'm reading stories from the Wolston Park Hospital review. There are warnings for institutional abuse for these stories. This is participant 10, patient. Getting out of Wolston Park Hospital but never free. I'm very lucky I have got to 80. That is all thanks to this wonderful girl who walked into my life and I ended up marrying her. If she hadn't come into my life, I wouldn't be around. No way in the world. In the late 1950s, at age 14, my parents put me in Wolston Park for 11 months to get treatment for epilepsy. I was raped and gang raped between 45 and 55 times whilst I was there. I witnessed the same thing happening to other boys in my section. A guard, who was one of the good guys, he couldn't do anything to stop it because he had a family to feed and he would lose his job. My two best mates, there were Bernardo, a European-Australian boy, put there because he had a breakdown from the stress of study, and Jack, an Aboriginal kid, put there for stealing. When we got out of Wolston Park Hospital, aged about 15 or 16, the other two boys took their lives within 6 months. I got out first, then Bernardo, and then Jack. We met every second Friday on a bench at Anzac Square, Brisbane. Then we would go to the pictures. We would take it in turns to choose the picture. We looked after each other. We used to plan that when we were 18 years of age, we would live together. That's how close we were. Then all of a sudden, one day, Jack never turned up. We waited for the next fortnight and he never turned up again. I knew his address, so on the Saturday morning I got up and I said to my mother, "I'm going to check what's happening with Jack." And as usual, she acted like I was making things up. She said, "He's most probably sick." I replied, "Well, most probably." I knew his address, so on the Saturday morning I got up and I said to my mother, "I'm going to check what's happening with Jack." And as usual, she acted like I was making things up. She said, "He's most probably sick." I replied, "Well, most probably," and off I went. I took the train there and then I walked to his place. I went up the steps, counting them as I went. It was 13 or 14 steps, reminding me of a time when a guard from Wolston Park has secretly taken me to his house against my will. This woman came out with a thing tied to her hair because they all had those bloody rollers that they used to do their hair with. I just said, "Is Jack there?" She said, "Who are you?" I said my name, and as soon as I said it, she said my name over and over and said, "Come in, come in." I went in and oh my God, between the smell of grog and bloody smoke, she sat me down. Jack's two sisters were there, 9 or 10 years old, and they introduced me. And they knew my name, and they asked me if it was really me. I said, "Yeah." They told me, "Jack spoke a lot about you." I said, "Where is he?" And they looked straight at her and she said to me, "Show us your hands." I showed my hand. I put my hands out, open, palms up. She put her hands in mine and said, "Now tell me something. Did those sorts of things happen in that place that Jack tried to tell me?" I said, "Of a sexual nature?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Yes, it did." Well, the girls went right off their heads screaming at their mother, "He would be alive today if you took notice." Then they told me he'd got a gun and shot his brains out. So that was that. So I just took off and left. I was crying all the way home. When my mother saw me, she said, "What's wrong with you?" I told her and she said, "Oh, he must have been lying to his mother too." So me and the other boy, we still met and I told him the next Friday. Me and him sat in the park. We never went to the pictures again because of what we'd heard. We missed our friend. Then Bernardo didn't show up. After a couple more weeks, I went to see where he was. I had to travel a fair bit that time, on the old steam trains. I saw his parents. His mum asked who I was. As soon as I said my name, she said, "Oh boy, boy." She said, "Bernardo spoke about you, come in." "Where do you come from?" I said, "Brisbane." "Come in here," she said, "I'll go and get you a drink and something to eat." So when they come down, I said, "Where's Bernardo?" She said, "Bernardo's not here no more." I said, "Why?" I said, "Where is he?" She said, "He's gone. He's in heaven." I said, "What happened?" And then she told me that they went shopping one Saturday morning and when they came home, he still wasn't out of bed. When they went into the room, she said there was blood on his bedspread. He was laying there because his mum and dad didn't believe that sort of thing. That was the same way I was thinking. I don't think there would be too many out of those boys in that era that would be alive. I used to say to myself when I was 16 that one day this will all come out. When the news came on about the Royal Commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse, I used to sit in the lounge chair and say to myself, well, here is your chance. But I used to say, well, I can't do that. I didn't think I'd ever be able to tell anyone again, to be quite truthful. I finally told my story 59 years on from when I got free. Afterwards, a friend who heard about it came to me and told me that her husband had been talking in his sleep and she wasn't sure what to do. I told her, you've got to be strong with him because he's thinking about what's happened to him. She talked to him and he'd been sexually abused as a child in the church. People need to know what happened. The harm doesn't end when you get out. It lives with you every day if you can survive.